Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, and I got some breaking news because the Las Vegas Raiders, they've been very active in free agency, and now they've gone out and signed wide receiver Nelson Agholor, guard Eric Kush, and they've re-signed running back Rod Smith. So let's first dive into the player that I think it really has got people talking. That's Nelson Agholor, and he has agreed to a one-year deal. We are unsure of what the details are yet. As soon as I get an update on those, I promise y'all, I'll make sure to get you as up-to-date as possible. So we know that he was a former first-round wide receiver out of USC who he does bring a lot of speed. However, we also know that Nelson Agholor has some issues with drops. And I once heard a joke that if you're trying to get rid of the Big C or if you don't want it, just put on a Nelson Agholor jersey. Now, for me, I have seen flashes where he's been very talented. I mean, I actually think one of the reasons why the Eagles went on to have a great playoff run and to win a Super Bowl is because when Agholor turns it on, he's actually very productive. It's just once in a while, he has these just boneheaded drops. You're like, man, I can't believe he made such a good play here. And then just a few plays later, he just drops a wide open ball. This is one of these moves for me where at first I was like, really? This is the move we made? But then I saw a quote from John Gruden. John Gruden back on Nelson Agholor all the way in 2015 when he was in the NFL Combine and Draft. And Gruden really liked his ability as a special teamer. And I know last year the Raiders, they brought in a lot of wide receivers, Trevor Davis being one, because once Dwayne Harris went down with that injury, we needed some help in special teams. So I think the reason why you go out and get a Nelson Agholor, you add depth at a position that is probably our biggest need. And then plus you have somebody that you're confident in being a special teams player, potential punt returner, potential kick returner. So for me, Nelson Agholor, we'll dive into him a little bit later. I think right now he is our wide receiver 2 in our depth chart, but I don't think that's the plan for the Raiders. For us to be confident in what Agholor can bring, you got to have him as your wide receiver 4. I still have Tyrell over him. Then you got Hunter Renfrow in the slot. Nelson Agholor, I think this still means that we're going to go out and get a wide receiver in the draft. Let's push on here. Raiders also got a guard in Eric Kush, and I can already see the 420s in the comment section, as they should be, but they've agreed to a deal with Kush. The contract details for this are still unknown, but remember that he's started 7 games for the Browns last year, and when this deal went down, I was like, all right, who exactly is Eric Kush? And for those of you that don't know, Kush, he is now joining his 8th team of his NFL career, okay? The veteran offensive lineman played with the Browns last season, and he played with the Bears from 2016 to 2018. He has also spent time with the Rams, Texans, Panthers, Buccaneers, and the Chiefs. So he's bounced around the NFL a lot. The issue with Kush has always been the injuries, and he's had some pretty interesting injuries throughout his career. I mean, the one that I really remember was in 2017. He tore his hamstring. That's a wicked, wicked career, or a wicked injury. I appreciate everyone that is tuned in here. I appreciate everyone that is live on the Raiders Report with me. So I think that what we should do is we should give some shout-outs here to the peeps that are live on Facebook. I see James Mark, Junior Avila, James Butts, Kevin Christopher Williams. What up, my dude? Let's go over to YouTube now. We're keeping everyone up to date. Got 500 people live on YouTube. I see Terrell B. I see Martin Espinoza, Devin Lamb, Fetsy Fetz, and then Andrew Garcia. Yo, type 420 or yo if you're here watching me live. Appreciate everyone who's here. All right, it was Eric Kush, Nelson Agholor. That wasn't the only moves, though. We also brought back Rod Smith. We re-signed the running back in, again, to a one-year deal. Details are not 100% clear. So Rod Smith played most of last year with the Dallas Cowboys, and then once the Raiders, Josh Jacobs went down with that injury, we were looking for a hard-nosed running back, and that's why they went out and tested players like LeGarrette Blount. That's why they had people like a C.J. Anderson come in. But the running back that they ended up going with was Rod Smith, and I know what this team wants a hard-hitting running back, and he might not bring a ton of talent, to be honest with you, but if you want to be able to keep a running back fresh like Josh Jacobs come, getting closer to playoff time, I actually think this move here makes a lot of sense for this team. I also think this, though. I'm not 100% sure now whether or not that they bring back DeAndre Washington, who I think is going to test the market. I think he's going to get paid a little bit more than what this team is offering them. So for me, Rod Smith, Nelson Agholor, Eric Kush are all now members of this Raiders team. That is now 11 moves in free agency. We've been busy. We've been a very, very busy team, and if you guys like staying up to date with the latest Raiders news, rumors, and who they're signing, subscribe to the Raiders Report below. So the link, youtube.com/Raiders Report. I promise you all the big C. That's what I got to call it because YouTube doesn't let me say it. I'm going to keep you as up to date as possible on all things Raiders. So if you bleed silver and black, if you're a diehard Raider fan, if you see a guy walking down the street and he's got a Raiders hat on and you yell to him, Raiders! That's the kind of people that I want subscribing to my channel. Appreciate everyone that's tuned in here, okay? Hit that sub, turn on the noties. So let's dive in now to the Raiders wide receiver depth chart. And no, it's early, it's my off day, and yeah, I got to drink Dr. Pepper because nobody else is in the studio and I can't go grab a beer. So we got Tyrell Williams, Nelson Agholor, Hunter Renfrow. He is in the slot. And I don't think the plan for the Raiders is to have Nelson Agholor as the wide receiver 2. Let's have that clear. I just think right now, as it stands, he would be our wide receiver 2, probably battling it out a little bit with Zay Jones. The plan here for this team is to still go out and grab a wide receiver in the draft, whether that is at pick 12 or pick 19. If we want to be confident, you need to still go out and get another wide receiver, whether that's a CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs. Heck, if we maybe trade that pick 19 down a little bit, get a Denzel Mims, Justin Jefferson, I would be totally on board for that because nothing against Nelson. He's going to make some Raider fans want to pull out their hair. So do the Raiders still need to draft a wide receiver in round 1? I want you to give me a Y for yes, or I want you to type an N for no. For me, I'm typing my Y for yes. I like Agholor. Solid depth piece. Is kind of makes me think a little bit of an Eli Apple type of signing where when he was first drafted, high upside, and I still think Agholor has some upside. But he also has some concentration issues. He's only 26 years old, but let's get one thing clear. And I can see all the whys in the comment section. We need another wide receiver. We need somebody else that we know we can rely on because I like Agholor's upside, but I can already see the amount of comments that are going to be coming in around him being like, did you see that ball Agholor dropped? It's going to happen. That's part of his game. But we still need to go out and get a number 1 wide receiver. Now, if we have Agholor as our wide receiver 4 and special teamer, I'm okay with that. I think that's a lot better. If this is our plan, I think it's going to be a little bit shaky because sure, 2017, 2018, I do think were his 2 best years. I think if he really wants to contribute to this football team, it's going to be more on special teams. And if I can get a stat line from Agholor, like, 40 catches, 400 yards, and 4 touchdowns, that's the kind of receiver that I think that makes the most sense here for this team because if Agholor's getting more targets and getting more receptions, that means we didn't go out and do our job in the draft. Yes, we've missed on players like Emmanuel Sanders who went to the Saints. Yes, I understand Robbie Anderson's still out there. But I'm hoping this deal comes in at like $4 or $5 million, 1-year prove-it deal. If that's the case, I'm okay with it. So the Raiders, we also got some Kush. And you guys know that I'm not into the whole 420 thing. But I know, hey, I've been to Oakland. I've been to Cali. I know that's kind of how y'all are. But this is one of these moves where I think it's going to add a lot of depth for us. The other thing that I want you to think about with Eric Kush is how this could potentially impact not only our starting offensive line, but how it could impact a player like a Gabe Jackson. So here's our depth chart right now. The Raiders, they extended Richie Incognito, 2 years, $14 million. The Raiders also gave an extension to Denzel Good, 1 year, $2 million. Now you go out and get Eric Kush, and this is starting to make me wonder what they're going to do with Jackson. Now, I love me some Colton Miller. I love me some Trent Brown on the tackle position. Rodney Hudson, I would actually argue, is our most important player on this team. But it's pretty interesting to see what some of these moves that this Raiders team is making. And Eric Kush is a player that, I'll be honest, I actually grew up watching. So I'm from Pennsylvania. He went to Cal, PA, which is, if you guys want to know what conference that is, it's known as the PSAC. And I grew up near Bucknell. Bucknell used to play California quite often. So Eric Kush, you're a member of the Silver and Black. If you ever want to come on the Raiders Report, if anybody wants to come on the Raiders Report, you let me know. But I mean, come on. I mean, I had to do it. It's just too obvious here. So everyone who's watching this live on YouTube and everyone who's watching this live on Facebook, type 420. It's too easy. So we got PDog06, Stephen Golden, Dirty Raider, Chris Smith, Blake Dufresne, and Mario McLean. Let me hop on over now to Facebook. Give me time. Give me time. We got Eric Jaquez, Junior Javier, JC Cruz, Robert Mora, Jay Toro, La Raider. Appreciate you guys watching there as well. Sammy Mersado. I got you. I got you. So the 420 move by the Raiders going out and get Eric Kush. I got high hopes for it. I also got a lot of high hopes for this t-shirt here because it's been selling like wildfire. Chatsports.com/RaidersWorld. If you want to go get your hands on this shirt, all you got to do is go to that link below, chatsports.com/RaidersWorld. If you forget it, I'll put it in the comments. I'll put it in the description. Kerry Broader, Eric Jimenez, Paul Goth. I see you in the comments. Go get yourself a Raiders t-shirt. All right, that wasn't our only moves, though. Kush, Agholor, we did keep Smith, and I like the addition of keeping Rod Smith because he is a very tough, hard-nosed running back who is going to keep Josh Jacobs healthy. He is going to help keep Josh Jacobs fresh because, let's be real, we want to pound the football. And even if Rod Smith only gets like 2, 3, 4 carries a game, if we are in control of a football game or if it's like a 4th and 1 and maybe we don't want to go with an Alec Ingold, you might be able to lean on Smith, who I think can at least add some depth to this running back depth chart. Now, I don't know if they might still be interested in going out and getting a running back in the draft. That one's still TBD. But for Rod Smith, we're keeping Josh Jacobs healthy. That's why you bring back him. I'll also say, I think by re-signing Smith, that kind of makes us a little bit nervous about Isaiah Crowell. So how about this? Grade the signing. A, B, C, D, or F. I want you to put your comments below. For me, I think it's a good signing. It's a B grade for me because, again, I have him being in as a spell running back to Josh Jacobs. We re-signed Jalen Richard, 2 years, $7 million. He's going to be our third down scat back. Alec Ingold going into his second year. I think he's actually a top 5 fullback right now in the NFL. But Isaiah Crowell, he's a free agent coming off a torn Achilles. And I get asked quite often, Mitch, what's happening with Crowell? You got to remember, teams right now, they can't really do a lot with free agency because of the big C. And I think that's one of the reasons why you're not going to see them bring back Crowell because you can't do testing, and I don't really think that they're very confident. I see somebody in Facebook, he says, can I get a shout-out to the U.S. Army? You know what, Jesus Garcia? You got it. Shout-out to the U.S. military, shout-out to the Army, and shout-out to everyone watching us live on Facebook and on YouTube. And how about this? We're going to give some shout-outs here because it's just me here in the studio. Today was actually my off day, in case you were wondering, but I saw 3 moves. I'm like, wait a minute. I got to get to the studio, so shout out to producer Brett. Give producer Brett a shout out. He's actually at home controlling the show. There is nobody here. He's at home producing the show, putting graphics on from his home. So everyone type Brett, shout him out because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be able to go live right now. All right, let's give some shout outs to some people. I see some super chats that have come in. We can get to those super chats here in a little bit. So let's give some shout-outs. I see Mr. Emerald 1 through 3 saying USA. Richard Wren says Brett. Got Gabe Savala saying Brett. Yo-Yo 420 666. I don't know if that's lucky or, or what, but appreciate you, Corrupt. We got Steven Zagorza said beer me. The only way somebody's beering me is if some random guy walks out in the hall and I got to wave him in because nobody's here. So Andrew Garcia, appreciate you guys watching. So grade it, okay? 1-year deal for Rod Smith. 1-year deal. Marty Farrell says, nice job, Brett. Good job, Brett. Got 170 people watching on Facebook. If you guys want to click that share button on Facebook, let's get some, let's start sharing this news to people. That helps me out a lot. I would definitely appreciate that. And then for those of you watching on YouTube, how about you like the video? That helps me out a lot too. Cool? Free videos on my off day coming at you. It's because I love you. All right, it's time to get into some super chats here. If you want to get on the show, you can super chat, or I think we can do hashtag Raiders. I'll see what I can get cooked up here in the background. So I do have a super chat coming in. I need a drink. Hey, Mitch. Robert. What up, Robert? Get a pic. Remember me, the guy told you about the lady that makes the Raider jewelry? What's up, man, from Fresno, California. So I actually talked to her, Robert, and let me say this. If anybody out there wants their products on the Raiders show, if anybody out there has maybe like a company where you do Raiders stuff, okay, DM me on Instagram at Mitchell Renz 365. For hitting 40K, I want to do a giveaway show. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put the products up on the show, and if you're watching us live, I'm going to give them away. Okay, but the only way you're going to win is if you're subscribed and if you got your notifications turned on. So if you want some free Raiders stuff, hit me up at Mitchell Renz 365. But yes, I've already messaged her, and yes, I think she said she's giving me 3 chains. So if you want a Raiders chain, I got you. Let's go to another super chat here. We're rolling in. Appreciate the $5 super chat. CD or Ruggs at 12. Don't think Judy is a Gruden guy after watching interviews. What do you think, Mitchell? CD is the guy that I want on this team. I like Henry Ruggs a lot. You can't teach speed. But I think in terms of what a Gruden grinder is, the kind of player that we want to bring into this team, a leader, and then just a tough wide receiver who will never, okay, let me just say this, never take a single play off. That's CD Lamb. And I think his upside is not quite of a DeAndre Hopkins, but it's pretty dang close. So type CD for CD Lamb, or I want you to type R for Ruggs, okay? So type CD or Ruggs, because for me, I do want CD Lamb. Now, I could see us potentially going out and getting another wide receiver in the draft at pick 19, so that's something to keep in mind. We got another super chat rolling in here from Blake. Blake, you literally need to get a picture. Since we filled up on linebackers in free agency, think we draft Christian Fulton in round 1. So Christian Fulton was a player that I talked about maybe 2 months ago. Look at that. Blink, you're back there. Good job, Brett. I did a video, and if you guys are curious on it, it was the 5 players that I want the Raiders to draft at pick 12. And I know my man Tom Downey, he's the best in the biz when it comes to NFL draft stuff. He's like, Christian Fulton is a very, very good player. And if you need to go out and get a solid cornerback, Christian Fulton out of LSU is a player that you need to keep in mind. But just because we filled up on linebackers, that doesn't mean that we're done at the linebacking position. Like, let's get that straight. Like, I could really, really see Patrick Queen, Kenneth Murray still potentially coming on this team. I think Kenneth Murray is a little bit more likely than Patrick Queen because from what I hear, the Raiders coaches, they like the Oklahoma guys a little bit more. But hey, Christian Fulton, Xavier McKinney's a player to keep in mind, CJ Henderson. I think that we end up going defense in the secondary at pick 19. Let's go to Nathan. What up, Nathan? Appreciate you. Appreciate everyone who's here watching the show. And if you want your questions to get on the show, oh my gosh, I got to get my voice back in check. You can shout out your city. We got a lot of people watching us on YouTube and on Facebook, and I appreciate everyone that's tuned in. I appreciate everyone that is subscribed to our channel. So what's going to happen now, okay? I want you to do this. If you want to get your Raiders stuff on the show, DM me on Instagram at Mitchell Renz 365. Send me a photo of what you want to put on. If it's not Raiders stuff, if you want to put your company stuff on, hey, it's all good. Because for hitting 40K, I want to be able to do a show where we're giving away just a whole bunch of stuff, okay? So keep that in mind. So we got